You know.
Good morning, everyone. So today we'll be going to report some parts of writing creative nonfiction. Basically, the pointers in writing a short piece. The first thing is the pre-writing. It is the first stage of writing process, typically followed by drafting, revision, editing, and publishing. Now let's move on to creative nonfiction, or also known as the literary nonfiction, and we are so familiar with this. This basically encompasses text or talk about factual events. It is also brought to include travel writing, nature writing, biography, and any other kinds of factual information. But the question is, are there some possible sources of information for creative nonfiction? Definitely yes, and these are first, the earliest memory. Second one, metaphorical memory. Third, muscle memory. And last, including the five senses of memory. But the first, or the thing that I'll be going to explain to you, is the earliest memory. The first memory then becomes the starting point in our own narrative of the self. We experience thousands of events across childhood, and yet as adults we recall only a handful. Some might be the first or significant life events. If you can remember life as an infant, you are not alone. As adults, looking back to childhood, we cannot typically recall anything before age 3 to 4 years. If we can recall some of our first memories, but not all of it, probably the thing that we can recall from our past memories are those memories that was very memorable or important memories that we can use by creating a non-fiction story in our life. Now, how can we use earliest memory as our source of information when writing in nonfiction? When writing in nonfiction, it is better to use fresh memory. What I mean to say is that those factual events that we can encounter recently or new to us is better because we can easily recall or remember that in mind. Some of the writers, they naturally return again and again to their beginnings because for that they can actually use that to make their story more interesting, and most importantly, they can use that as the beginning of their story. But if you cannot recall your first memory at all, then you can use your earliest memory. You can use that as your beginning, and it will make sense because that earliest memory you have can be possibly increased as the time passes by until you completed your whole story. So the next one is the metaphorical memory.
Good morning, everyone. So, my topic for today is about metaphorical memory. So, first, I will be define what is metaphor. Metaphor is a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable. Metaphor. We are going to use words which have deeper meaning. For example, we could use ring as a symbol of marriage. Another example is the color black. It represents problem or health. The last example is the flower. When we use it into metaphor, it represents as a girl.
Hi everyone, my name is Carl B. Cabrera. Today I'm gonna explain to you our report, muscle memory. Muscle memory. This kind of memory helps you to remember of what did you learn of a certain movement or skill. This type of memory can use to make film or movies because there is a type of movie that are focusing in dance. Just example, the Step Up Revolution. So before they make a movie, they have a lot of practice just to build the dance and make it to movie because Step Up Revolution are focusing in dance.
Smell can be the source of information in creative nonfiction because of what we smell. Like, for example, the flower. Apart from the scent of smell, when you smell it, something enters your mind or you will remember something similar to the smell. And you will never forget that. Through that smell, you will remember a lot of your past.
Taste can be the source of information In creative nonfiction, day by day, we actually experience to eat and taste anything like food and more, and anything that you can eat and taste. This can be the source information for the reason that whenever you use your sense of taste, it can be set in your mind and can possibly recall the old memories that you have. Like for example, eating an ice cream. So with that taste or food, the old memories that you have will be remembered, especially in your childhood. Through senses of taste, you can identify the things that you taste is it good or is it bad, and you can use that in a creative nonfiction.
Sense of hearing. Hearing memory that registers to auditory information. Once an auditory stimulus is heard, it is stored in memory so that it can be processed and understood. Day by day, we used to hear many things and we used to store that in mind, especially those things that we hear that is very important. Important information that we hear can possibly store in our mind and cannot be forget. And once we hear something, that can also be the key that we can remember those things that was old enough for our memory to remember. This can be the source of information in creative nonfiction because once we hear something, we can use that information in write about the thing. Sense of hearing not just help us to remember the things from our past, but it can also help us to create a story by hearing the things that we hear and surround us.
Exploring objects through touch can generate detailed, durable memories for those objects, even when we don't intend to memorize the object's details. Using the different instances of touching can create a much more well-rounded character or story, and allows your reader to know what your character is experiencing through their own memories and experiences of something similar. Our sense of touch also varies from person to person. The sense of touch can be used in writing to help draw readers into the scene by describing physical sensations that most people will recognize from their own experience. We can help them to vigorously feel what the characters are feeling.
Good morning everyone. Today I will be going to discuss the sight. We use our eyes to see things that we can see things that are near to us and things that are far away. Some people wear glasses to help them see things more clearly. Sight can be the source of information in creating in non-fiction. All of the things that you see like pictures, environment, activities, and more can help you to recall, especially for your old memories. Through the sense of sight, and can help you to be more imaginative, and all that you have seen will be put in your mind or set in your mind. It can create a memories that you cannot remember and can recall a memory that actually lost long ago. Sight can be anything and can be the source of information.